Hello and welcome to this week's Stamping and Creating with me, Fiona Whitten. Apologies, I've just got a creaky chair. I'm going to quickly change it. Don't think you really need to hear me moving around on a squeaky chair. So, right, that's better. So, yes, as I said, welcome to Stamping and Creating. This week I am going to share a fun fold card using the Crafting With You bundle. This is one of the new bundles in the annual catalogue that came out second, so just over a week ago. And you have a stamp set, and there are also dies to go with it, so you can buy them individually or as a bundle and save the 10%. So I'm just trying to make sure that I am live. It looks like it. Good. Right. Okay. So the card I'm going to make today is this one. I'm not making the exact same, but I am following the same principles and the cutting instructions. So it's called a W fold fun card. And the reason, hopefully, you will see that that's what it's called is because when you look at it from above, it kind of looks like a W. Or at least it would do if I was holding it that way. Otherwise, it looks like an M. But it's called a W fold. So it involves, so this is a landscape card. You can make it as a portrait, but it just means that these panels would be maybe a bit thinner, because if you want to get two on each side, then you would have to make them even thinner. So going landscape is really the way to go. So this was, as I said, what I made using the Crafting With You. So I started with stamping this. I'll show you. Oops. Right, so everything's going to stick together because I couldn't find the insert for this, but I did find it earlier. I'm stalking from the sentiment for last week, but still can't find it. But hey, anyway, so at least that's in there. Things not going to stick to it anymore. So I started with stamping this easel in Berry Burst and die cut it out. And then I cut another rectangle because I wanted that popping out. Stamped it in the Lemon Lolly and then in Berry Burst with the sentiment. The panel here is Lemon Lolly, which I've done tone on tone stamping, so I've stamped in Lemon Lolly as well. So it's there, but it's quite subtle. And then the inside consists of some panels and one strip. The trick, if you want to turn this into a portrait card, or a square card for that matter, is that this panel, this strip that goes right across, you need to make sure that it's exactly the same length as your card when it's opened up. So if you were making a 6x6 card, you would actually need a strip that is 12, so make it 6 inches by 6 inches. You would need a strip that is 12 inches wide. So you might want to go for a card that's 5 by 5, in which case you need it to be 10. And then you're simply going to score it in half and then in half again either side. And then the panels, you can do what you like. So I've done some rectangular panels. If you have some dies, be they circles, squares, then you could use those as well. So there's all sorts of things that you can do with this design. So I'm just going to quickly show you. So this is the stamp set. So this is the Crafting With You stamp set. The dies, oops, just realised that there was a stamp stuck on there still. Put that back on here. The dies, there are more dies than there are stamps. So that's the die for the easel, and then there are other ones. So this, for example, is the die for the sewing machine. You have die for the basket, for the brushes, for the flowers. So you've got this flower and you've got the smaller flower. There's also hearts, so that little heart fits that. And you've also got this die here that fits the wool. But then you have all other things. So this is a trimmer that goes with the Stampin' Up, looks like the Stampin' Up trimmer. We have a ruler, we have a pair of scissors. Yep, that does make a pair of scissors. I will make a pair in a minute and show you. We have a embroidery hoop, and then we also have some stars, flowers, other sized hearts, and then these things along with these. I couldn't figure out what they were to start off with, and then I realised actually they make spools. So these two will actually cut out two little spools, and then these will cut out in whatever colour you're using, be it white or another colour, a piece that you can then glue on, which looks like thread. And of course there are some buttons as well, so we've got square button and circular buttons. So there's all sorts of things in here, so as well as coordinating with some of the stamps, there's a lot more here that you can use to actually decorate your card, scrapbook page, whatever it is, in whatever way that you want to. So without further ado, so I should have said as well, you can find the stamp set and the bundle on page 91 of the catalogue. So the stamp set looks like that, and these are all real size. And then the bundle, so it's £20 for the stamp set, and the bundle is £51.25. So that saves you 10% when you add the stamp set and the bundle together. So that's those. I'm just going to leave them to one side because I am going to use them. Hopefully I'm not going to knock them onto the floor. Oh, and for those who are wondering, I still haven't found the sentiment from last week. No idea where it went, but hey, it's just one of those things. Right, so all the cutting instructions are going to be in centimetres because that's how I work. You don't need to make a note of them because I am going to put them up on the description for the YouTube video, as I always do. So you just sit back, relax, and watch what I'm doing. But you can, if you want to, write the instructions down. But as I said, there's really no need. So I'm going to start off. So I picked up some paper. So I really like this paper. So this comes from the Countryside in 12 by 12 paper. One of the sheets have these very sweet rabbits on, and on the other side it's pale, so it's Boho Blue and Balmy Blue, these little designs. So I thought actually this will be quite sweet because today I'm going to make the embroidery one. I could do the paper one, but I thought no, I'm gonna do the embroidery because I really like the little embroidery hoop. So I'm going to start with a sheet of Night of Navy cardstock, and I'm simply going to cut it in half on the short side at 10.5 centimetres. So remember, on the trimmer, the darker grey or the black is the cutting blade. So I've cut that in half. This will be used for the other pieces in a minute, so I'm going to keep hold of that. And then I'm going to turn this, and I am going to score it in half at, it really needs to be like 14.85. And then you want to use the lighter grey, which is the scoring. So that's my card, that's my base card. So that's my landscape card. Then I'm going to cut the other piece that was left into a 3 centimetre strip. Just need to make sure I've got it lined up at 3 centimetres top and bottom. and I'm going to cut that. So I've got now 3 centimetres by 29.7, which is the whole length of a sheet of A4. And I'm going to score it again in half. Oops. Get that cutting blade out of the way because I really don't want it. Like so. Now, you could, if you want to be exact, fold this, but I'm just going to do 7.5 or 7.4 from both ends. It'll be like 1 millimetre out, but I really don't want to be cutting it into really odd widths. So then you're going to fold this, so you're going to the first fold on the left, you're going to mountain fold it. Actually, no, you're not. You're going to valley fold it, then mountain fold it, and then valley fold it again. So this is going to create the band that will go inside your card. So it will sit inside your card like that. And it does mean that once this is glued on, everything closes and fits within the card itself. So you don't have anything hanging out. That's the theory. Now, whether you want to add extra layers or whether you just want to go straight for the double-sided paper, it's really up to you. Or like I did on that first card, I just stamped. So this one, I just simply stamped it. So I'm going to just use on the outside a piece of cardstock. So the cardstock I need to measure is going to be 14.4 because I want it to be 0.5 centimetre shorter in the width and the length by 10. So this is the piece that will sit on here. Like so. And the reason that I'm actually doing this is that I'm going to create something, but I also want to be able to stamp on there. And I know that if I use the double-sided paper, then it will get a bit lost. So I'm just going to keep it simple on the front. Now the inside, as I said, I'm going to use the double-sided paper. And then the question is, do I want the pattern to go like that or like that? I actually think I want it to go up and down, in which case I need to cut 2 pieces which are 14.4 by 10. So these will create the 2 pieces on the inside, and I'll show you that in 1 second. So this is really quite simple to make. So those will get glued on here, like so. So those will be my inside panels. So I'm going to glue those on to start off with. So these are the 2 going on. I mean, I could use the bunnies, but I actually want to use the bunnies for something else. So I'm just going to put a bead of glue around it and a bit of a squiggle in the middle. You don't need tons and tons of glue because you really don't want it to be squidging out of the edges. I'm just going to centre that on here. So that's the first piece. And then my second piece I'm going to put on the other side. Like this. And again, just a bead of glue around the edge and a squiggle in the middle. Now, I just want to make sure that I've got my little chevron-y bits going in the right direction. So these are all pointing down. So I need to make sure that all of these ones are pointing down as well. Because I know what will happen. Knowing me, I would otherwise put one going up and one going down and then not realise, and then it's one of those things that after a while it just starts to annoy you. So this piece that we cut, which is the long strip, is going to get glued directly in here, but you only want to glue the two outside panels, so this panel on the right and that panel on the left. You do not want to be putting glue on the middle panels because those are the two that pop up, so that when you close the card, just pretend that's glued, when you close the card it will pop up and close, and then when it sits open it will look like that from the top. And then you are going to decorate by putting some other panels on these four. So the easiest way to do this is to put the glue on the strip itself. And again, you don't want to go too mad. Now I like to use my grid paper to make sure that everything is, see, that's my centre line here. And then I end up having to count squares, so that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, not quite 11, so it needs to go sort of a half. So then I know that that 20 centimetre mark there is my centrepiece, and I know that this is 3 centimetres wide because that's what I cut. Make sure that's like that. Now, if you're worried about getting the other piece in the right place, it's a very simple trick. Just fold it up like that. It helps you to also make sure that you are gluing the right bit and folding it the right way. I should have said you should burnish these bits as well. And again, you're going to put then some glue, whoops, on this piece. So it's on the bit that's going to glue to the other side, but it's been folded up. So you're simply then going to add some glue on here as well. And then you're just going to fold the card closed. So you can't see it from the front, but it fits perfectly and it opens and closes perfectly like that. So all right, so we've really virtually just really now need to decorate. So we have this as our front panel. Now I'm going to use this. So this is the die that creates the embroidery hoop. So I'm going to bring in my mini Stampin carnivals like this. I'm going to make it a Night of Navy piece. Let's hopefully, will I have enough there? Oh no, I've got a piece here, that's all right. I just wanted to make sure. So if you've got a scrap, first off make sure that it fits in the mini machine. Which mine doesn't, it's a little bit too wide. You could use crumb cake to get sort of like a wood effect type thing. Actually, you don't need to do that. Let's do this. Right, here we go. So I'm just going to cut out the embroidery hoop. So I've got my sandwich, so I've got my number 1 plate, number 2 plate, cardstock, die, and then we're going to put the number 2 plate on top and then literally wind that through the machine. It might make a noise. Oh, it's a bit stiff, but that's okay. Oh, didn't go bang or crack or anything like that. So the actual hoop comes out in 2 parts. So there is the middle section, which you can then take out and replace with anything that you want to. And the hoop itself, I just need to poke this out Make sure that, oops, this comes out properly. This die's quite tight. And there's a little bit in the middle there that needs to come out as well. There we go. So that's the hoop. And as I said, that's the centerpiece. Now my plan is that I am going to use this paper, and I'm going to use the die again, and I want to have the little rabbit centered in the aperture. I'm not worried about which way's top and which way's bottom because I'm cutting out a circle. So at the end of the day, that really doesn't matter too much. So I just want to make sure that the bunny's kind of in the middle of that aperture. And I'm going to use a piece of washi tape to hold it, because I don't really want to end up cutting the bunny in half. So I'm just going to put that on here. Oops. Actually, before I do that, I think I'm just going to use my scissors and cut the rest of that off because I don't need it. So hoop, bunny. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Bit of washi tape just to hold it in place. Bring the machine back. Again, I'm going to plate 1, plate 2, paper, die, and then plate 2 again. And wind this one through. Like that. So I'm not going to worry about that too much at the moment. So this is going to be my hoop on the front of my card. I'm going to put the bunny inside there. Like so. I'm going to have him straight there, even though the hoop's not. You can tell I'm not an embroiderer. And then I'm going to put a sentiment here, and then I've got a couple of little extra bits that I want to cut as well, just to show you how some of the other little dies work. So I'm quite happy with that. If you want to pop this up, then when you cut it out, rather than just cutting it out plain with the machine, if you put some foam adhesive sheet behind and then run it through, it'll come out with the foam adhesive where you want it to be. But I'm not going to worry too much about that. But what I am going to do is glue it onto my card front. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to put my sentiment on first, because if I make a boo-boo, I can always then turn it over. So I'm going to use the Life is Better When You're Crafting sentiment, or am I going to use Wishing You Everything Wonderful? So that's sort of like a, I think I'm actually going to use the Wishing You Everything Wonderful, you know, because then it kind of sounds more like a birthday card. So I'm going to put that to see where that goes. That's there. My hoop, hopefully I haven't lost it. It's going to go here with the rabbit in, like so. So that's okay, or maybe I will put it straight. I think I'm happy with that, so I just need to get a block. I'm going to stamp this in Night of Navy. Now, because it's a photopolymer stamp set, both the Crafting With You that I'm using and also the sentiment that I'm using, which comes from, Charming Sentiments, because they're photopolymer, you sometimes want to use something that's a little bit soft underneath so that you get a better image. Now I'm still going to leave that on here simply because then I know my placement. Oops, don't really want it to go that way, so I'm going to put that here. Get my Night of Navy ink. Ink that up. Vaguely hope that I've got this straight. Like that. That's fine. Oh, that looks nice. Nice, clean. Slightly on a wonk, but hey. Right. So this time I am going to glue this on. And again, you don't need to go too mad. Oops. This stuff seems to dry really quickly, which is kind of good and kind of bad. I mean, you usually have enough time to be able to move things around. I'm not going to put glue all the way around it. I'm just going to sort of do it on sort of eighths, just to make sure that there's enough to hold it, but at the same time, it's nothing that's going to squidge out of it. So we're going to put this, I'm going to centre that on here, I think, like that. Now my little rabbit that's on the paper, I am actually going to pop that up on some foam pads. Coming to the end of this one. You can see I've already been using the edges. That's the other thing you could do, is you could use the edges from your dimensionals. You'd have to persevere and really work to get them on the bottom. But that's just why I say that the adhesive sheets are, the foam adhesive sheets are much easier to use because that will cut it out perfectly. So there's my bunny sitting on my hoop. Now I'm happy with my sentiment now, so I can put this directly onto here. I didn't need to turn it over and stamp it again. So that's that. So that's front almost done. Now the other thing that I want to do is I'm going to cut out some of these little spools. Luckily there are 4, so there's 2 lots of 2. So you don't have to, oops, wind it through the machine too often, which is quite good. And it's also a great way of using up your scraps. So that's the 4 spools, that's the 4 bits of thread. I know they don't look like thread, but they are. And then bring my machine back. I think I'm going to do Night of Navy spools. I could do crumb cake, which kind of gives more like the wood effect, but I'm not sure. I think I might just keep to the blues. And bring back my plates. So again, I've got my plate 1, plate 2, I'm going to put my scrap on. And then this time, I'm not too worried about things going for a walk, other than the fact that you want them to stay on there. Put that through, whoops. Just move that out of the way for a second whilst I take them out. So you can see they're very cute. So they look like a little empty, this one looks like an empty spool. It's a nice spool shape. Hopefully you can see it. Makes it look as if I've got mucky hands, but I haven't. And just got that one out, so I just need to poke these two. So you can basically do 4 at a time. Oops. That's that. So that's that Night of Navy. And then I have some scrap. So the other colours that are in this are Balmy Blue and Boho Blue. Boho Blue is the new one of the new in colours, and that's the colour that I've used for that panel. So I've got a piece of that scrap piece of that, because that will go nicely with this. Also got some scrap Balmy Blue. This is how I keep my scraps, in case you're wondering what all the noise is. So it's just a plastic bag, zip top, and whatever you want to call them. And I keep all my scraps in there, or I try to. Every so often, I kind of sometimes keep them in a box on top of my my desk, and then every so often I have to have a bit of a splurge and actually put everything away in the right place. So I can do all these at the same time. Just need to make sure that they fit on. So that's those, and then again these come two at a time. So it will cut 2 Balmy Blue out. Not Balmy Blue, that's Boho Blue, and 2 Balmy Blue. And then a plate. And I could do it with white, so then I had what looked like white thread. And this is where you really don't want to lose these bits. There's nothing in there. There's nothing in there because they're all stuck on here. Like that. And at the same time, I don't want to lose the dies either. Just put them there. If I had a magnet, it probably would be a good idea. So I'm just going to glue. And I only want 3. Let's see, let's do a Balmy Blue. Oops. I think I might do 2 Balmy Blues and a Boho Blue. Because as I said, the base is already got, that's not enough in that on there. I love Tombow, but it does have a habit of like drying up quickly. I have to get into the habit of putting the cap back on quickly. And what you can't actually see too well is that the way the thread looks is that at the top there's a curve. I've got convex and a concave curve, so you know then which can be the top and the bottom. And just make sure that you just need to make sure, she says, that they go on straight. I'd maybe just do it by hand, like that. So there's my thread. There's my bobbin with some thread on, which I will add to the card in a minute. It doesn't matter which way you put them on when you're actually gluing them on, so long as you remember that which way that they will then go on the front of your card. So like so. So that's those 3. which I'm then going to put onto here. Now you can put them wherever. I did think about having them like here and there. Well, I was thinking of that, but I know I'm not so sure. Maybe put them down here. Don't know. Anybody wants to leave me a comment as to where they think I should put these, I'll put them on at the end. Should we put them there, or just sort of tucked here? Don't know. Right, anyway, so I digress. So those are the three that I'll put on at the end. And then all we now need to do is the inside. So we've already glued our strip in that has been folded, scored and folded, and in the process it has, when I glued it in, moved. So I'm just going to trim that piece off. Glad I spotted that now. That's better. So that will then sit nicely like that. So we have 4 panels to put on here. As I said, you could use circles. So that was the inside from the hoop. You could use rectangles, you could use squares. Anything you need to remember is that you need to keep it within the confines of this area and that area. I mean, you could, if you wanted to, just simply put paper on there. Coordinating paper. I'm not going to use that paper because I think it will just get lost. So what I am going to do is similar to what I did for the first card, which is basically cut some rectangles. And again, you can do as many layers. The more layers you put on, the thicker the card will be. That's the only thing that you need to remember. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to do 4 lots of 4.5 by 6.5. So if that's 4.5, so I'm going to do this in the night navy. So this is the biggest piece. So 6.5. 6.5. So that's 3, and then 1 more. So these are the 4 that would get glued directly onto that strip. And if you wanted to add some extra colour, you could put a layer of paper on and then put a layer of white, which is what I think I'm going to do. Or you could just use plain cardstock, which may be even better. Because then it saves your double-sided paper. So the next layer you want it to be 4 by 6. So if I do that at 6, make sure that's lined up. I'm going to do 4. I want 4 of these. So that's those 4. Now you don't have to stamp and decorate every single one of these, and this is where the paper is going to come in. And I need it to be 3.5, so you can those bunnies want to get those bunnies sort of in the centre. Like that. So that, those two of them can go on there, so they need to be 5.5. Let's see. That would work. So I've got 5.5 put for him. So he can go on. Put him on. That's 5.5. On another one. You could put the same paper just to make it look a bit different. What did I say it was? 3.5 by 5.5. Or you could put white, or you could put another bunny on. Let's see, let's put some white on. There we go. So I want 3.5. By 5.5. And I think that is all the cutting that I need to do. Hooray! So we've got 2 that will have white, basic white on the top layer, and 2 that will have a bunny. So I'm going to put that like that, put the bunny like that. And then I think this one this is the one that I'm going to put the sentiment on here. Or you could leave it blank and you can then say to and from, or you can put a piece of white on the back of it. So the other option is to put a piece of white here and do a little bit of decoration, and then you can write the to and from on whatever message that you want to add. Let's see. So I'm going to just simply, I think I'm going to stamp with love. And put a little heart on one of those pieces of white. So let's do that. So let's use the, I think I'm going to use the navy again, Night of Navy. And maybe put a couple of hearts. The one thing that you don't want to be doing with the central piece is putting any like lumpy embellishments, like rhinestones or anything like that on the inside, because if you do post it, they will work their way through the card whilst it's in the post, just so you know. So let's glue these together whilst I think about what I'm going to put on that other piece of white. So I'm going to put that on here. That goes on there. So what's going on at the moment? Let's see. Well, obviously I'm doing this today. Saturday I've got an open house here at home. I'm opening up my craft room to anybody who's local from 10:30 to 1:30, and doing a catalogue launch. So if you do live local to me, I'm in Wokingham in Berkshire, then please pop along, or if you could email me first. If you email me at Fiona at Oakville Crafts, let me know you're coming, and I can then also send you my address. I don't really want to put it on here at the moment because I don't know about anybody else, but there's some, I keep getting some really weird messages at the moment, so I'm kind of, I guess it's the problem with social media. I might just do this one as well. So yeah, so that's going on Saturday. As I said, 10:30 to 1:30 here in my craft room. I've got a buy one get one free sale. So basically, selling off my retired stamps, dies, etc. And then for each £1 you spend on those, you get £1 to spend on items from the new catalogue. So it's quite a bargain. And obviously you can pick up a catalogue if you don't already have one. And it's make and takes. If you spend £25 or more on the day, then the make and take's free. If not, it's there are 2 make and takes, and it's £5 for the 2 of them. Right. Okay. So now I still have got to work out what I'm going to do with that, and I think I might just stamp. The flower. That might be the easiest. I'll just put that on here. I'm not going to do it in Night of Navy. I think that will be just a little bit too strong. Let's see, but I will do it in Boho Blue, because that will then coordinate with the little hearts there, because they're Boho Blue. Now I do need my Stampin' Pierce mat, just to make sure that I get a decent impression of this. So just, oops, I can see that I've not inked up that stamp there. Ooh. Nice thing about the photopolymers, you can actually see straight off as to what's inked and what hasn't. There we go. It will dry lighter. And this is a distinctive stamp, so you will get patches which are lighter and darker. So it's not that I've not stamped it correctly, it's simply the fact that it's a bit of a distinctive image. Let's put that on. So I'm just looking at my Facebook page to see if there are any comments, but there aren't, but that's okay. Oh yes, so I was talking about the open house on Saturday, and then Sunday, weather permitting, and I do say weather permitting because it's pretty horrible around here at the moment, I will be over at the Home Grange Craft Fair. Again, I have Linda's craft stash to sell. So this is what this will look like that. So when I come to glue these on here, I also want to make sure that other than these 2 outer pieces, that doesn't matter if they get glued direct on here and on here, because these are flat. But what I don't want to do is get glue on here and here and here. I want those to actually be sitting just on those pieces. So this one I don't need to worry about. I can just literally put glue all over it. But what I do need to worry about is making sure that the next lot that go on, they're kind of all, well, I was going to say all at the same level and the same gap either side, but really at the end of the day, I'm using, actually I'm cheating, I'm using the lines here to make sure that they are, that it is sort of level. As I said, I don't need to worry about where that goes, but this one I do need to make sure which way it's going to go. So I'm just going to put some glue on here. Normally I would say to glue the smaller piece, but I just want to make sure that I don't get anything top and bottom. Let's try and make sure that it's equal, sort of in line with that. And then I've got the other rabbit to go on. Again, put something in the middle here. I don't want to go too far. Try and make sure that these gaps here are the same again. Let's see, that looks about rough, right. And then this one, it can have glue all over. Well, I say glue all over. Again, I'm not actually going completely mad with it. So this then wants to go on here. Can kind of use the paper. So that's the middle of the card. Oops, just realised the handle of the Stampin emboss machine's in the way. Oops, I won't put that there because it will fall on the floor. So that's what the middle of the card looks like. And from the top it will look like that. The front we've got that. And as I said, I've still got these little spools to put on. And I think I'm just going to use some foam pads, and I know what I'm going to do. Now I've decided. I just need to cut some bits off this. So I'm going to put one here. Actually, you know what? I think I might change that. Tuck it under like that. The other one. That's why I like to use the edgings on these sorts of things. Put that one up here. Oops, that's not one. That's the other one. And I think I'm going to just overlap it slightly on that one. So I don't need a full bit of. Now, remember I was saying about be sure which way you put them up on? I just realised that I've totally messed up on that. Didn't follow my own instructions. So this one here is upside down. Now I could try and take it off, but that will be a bit disastrous. The trick is to actually cut it off. So if you just cut through the dimensional, you can then use your thumb. This is annoying me. Get that off, that's better. You can then use your thumb and it'll roll off then the bit that you don't want, like so. So that's that one. So there is a way to, rather than just ripping it off and then you end up with your ripped card, if you cut it off and then just roll the bits off, that works right equally as well. So that I want to go try again. So that one, so you want it so that the dipped part is at the top. Not the way I had it. There we go, that's that. And then, I don't know, put that one there or on the other side. Dipped side. I was going to put it up here. Try and make that straight. Like that. So that's the front of my card, all finished. So I've got my little embroidery hoop with my rabbit inside that. Amazingly enough, it only took me 5 minutes to embroider. Got my little spools of thread. So we've got Night of Navy spools, and then we've got Boho Blue and Balmy Blue thread. And then on the inside we've got some more rabbits and a flower, and then just a with love. So the with love actually comes in the crafting with you, whereas this comes from the other sentiment stamp set, the Charming Sentiments. And in fact, there is a die that you can use to cut that out, but I decided I wasn't going to go to that extent today. So if you want to, you can put, so maybe I haven't quite finished, you can put a piece of white on the back of the card. So let's just cut that. Let's see, it needs to be 10 by 14.4 to fit. And then I think I'm just going to put a strip of the paper. Do I put a strip with the rabbit on? I think I will actually, because he's quite cute. Let's see, how wide does it need to be? 2 centimetres. And this is the fun bit. This is the bit that you can play around with and do as you like. Let's see, and I want it to be 10 centimetres. So I want that bunny. I want at least one whole bunny. And then that. Oh, I've got 2 whole bunnies. That's okay. And you could if you wanted to fussy cut out the rabbits. And I just realised that the rabbits are actually facing different ways. So I'm going to glue this to the edge of that, and then I am going to glue it to the card. And then you can also use this to decorate the envelope. Being 12 by 12, you can go the whole hog and decorate the flap on the back, or you can just put a strip on the front. It's entirely up to you how you do it. 6 by 6s don't quite work when it comes to doing the flaps. They're slightly too, the 6 inches is not quite enough, but the 12 by 12 paper is fine, it's great. But I guess at the end of the day, it depends on how much you love the person, like the person that you're sending the card to, whether or not you want to use up all your paper. So put this on the back, and just, because it's the wet glue, I can move it around. There you go. Guess it's not going to be that easy to actually write on now, but it's done. So there is somewhere if you want to write a big message. Then that is it. So that's today's card. Whoops, that little bit of dimensional that it took off has decided to come back. That's today's card. I hope you've enjoyed seeing this. I will upload. Yes, Trisha, the colours are lovely. It's a very sweet bundle, and you know the fact that you can actually use it for all sorts rather than just whatever crafting people like to do. So anyway, so yeah, so that's the front, inside, and the back. This video will get uploaded to YouTube as and when I can. It'll be by the end of the week, and there will be photos of this obviously going up on Facebook too. So I hope you've enjoyed seeing that. Next week we have Card and a Cuppa over at Home Grange again. So I hope to see you there. If not, I hope to see you either at the open house, so drop me an email if you're coming so that I can send you my address, or see you at Home Grange on Sunday, weather permitting. Take care. Bye.